How's it going, everybody? And the best is, the best was, the best ever will be. There but none before me, there'll be none after me. Therefore, I am one only Jake Covey, and welcome to Wrestling Made Simple. We got an action-packed week this week with your news of the week, followed by a SmackDown review in Berlin, and then we have the Bash in Berlin. We then have your Raw review, followed by a review of In Your House Bad Blood. We then go into a drink of the week, followed by the Battle Droid of the week. But let's get into the news this week, though, as has WWE fired a member of a major storyline, apparently as they have let go of Odyssey Jones. That is all the talk that is going around with wrestling reporters, as he has been taken off the active roster and is not even on the roster page in WWE. I do not know the status of him, and I'm not going to try and comment on what happened. Apparently, it is a personal issue and a legal issue that has caused them to release Odyssey Jones. Who knows? Will we ever know? But good luck to whoever's involved in this. If it's the allegations are true against Odyssey Jones of domestic violence, then goddamn him. If not, then hopefully he can bounce back and find his footing. And speaking of controversial superstars, WWE has signed Hulk Hogan to a 5-year deal, apparently. Hulk Hogan will be staying in the company under a Legends contract with a new 5-year deal. He talked about on the Impulsive podcast with Logan Paul, also saying that Logan Paul should be a champion in the next year, a world champion. You know. He said Nick Khan is strictly business. That's why he signed me to this. He knows my name draws money. So shout out to them for bringing in Hulk Hogan. 5-year deal. Hey, keeping the controversy going. And finally, we have an update on Adam Copeland's return to the ring. As Adam Copeland has said, he can walk now. He can get in and out of the ring and move around a little bit. But he still feels some difficulty. He still has some work to do to return and where he needs to be. Hopefully, he will return soon. Shout out to Adam Copeland for fighting through an injury and hopefully getting back in the ring for AEW very, very soon. But that's the news this week, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to SmackDown from Berlin, as it already aired in Berlin before the United States at usual time, so the results were leaked. The show began with L.A. Knight, issuing an open challenge for which was answered by Ludwig Kaiser, who said he would make the United States Championship his own personal European Championship. LA Knight would defeat Ludwig Kaiser to retain his title. After this, Los Gaza, Angel Umberto with Santos Escobar and Electra Lopez defeated Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews in a nice little tag team match. I really do like the Los Garza thing. I think that's a kind of cool shout out to the family members of the cousins. Solo Sikoa then came on and said that the Bloodline will face DIY in the Street Profits in an 8-man tag team match next week on SmackDown. And he said after tomorrow he will be coming after the winner of Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. We then get a segment with Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes in the ring, saying he knew that Cody wasn't 100%. He said that Cody's knee is injured and wonders what will happen if Cody walks in there a match and loses. Cody assured him that his knee is rock solid and asked Kevin if they will still be friends after he retains his title. Owens whispered something into Cody's ear and then left. We didn't get Giovanni Vinci will make his SmackDown debut next week. Carmelo Hayes and Andrade tore the house down once again in a astounding 5-star match. Shout out to them. They always bring a great match. So if you're looking for one to watch, go watch this match. This was maybe one of the best matches from the weekend. We then get Nia Jax defending her women's championship against Mia Yim in a street fight. Nothing to write home about. A very lackluster main event that really didn't excite me for Bash at Berlin. I really wanted more, and I was hoping that they would give me something different as the main event. I was hoping it would be more of the Cody and Kevin Owens, but unfortunately, we didn't get that. It was that okay women's main event. Now let's go Bash in Berlin, which I thought was the show of the weekend. It actually had a lot of great matches. Even though it didn't have the match of the weekend, it definitely had the best collection of matches. It kicked off with the Undisputed Championship match between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. It was a banger. Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens definitely have some great chemistry. I actually watched these two have a dark match on Monday Night Raw at WrestleMania 38 on the Raw after WrestleMania, and they connected perfectly. I was in watching these guys was like being in a trance. It was just like this is what perfect wrestling should be. Cody Rhodes would pick up the win over Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens would hug him after the match. I guess they're still friends. Hooray, friendship. We get the women's tag team championship match as Isla Dawn and Alba Fire would try to defend their titles against Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair would pick up the win in probably the worst match of the night, but saying that isn't too bad. It was still, I would give it a 3-star match. It was fun, it was entertaining. There was definitely a moment where you could tell Jade Cargill kind of messed up of she was trying to break up the pin and ended up just pulling Bianca's hair to pull her out of the pin. It was okay at best. Bianca Miller and Jade Cargill pick up the win and are two-time women's tag team champions. We then get CM Punk and Drew McIntyre in a strap match. Very fun, really emotional match. You would truly feel CM Punk was going around touching the corners, and then he would stop and look at Drew and be like, "I ain't ending it now. I want to beat the shit out of this guy. I want to fuck him up." And that's what you got from CM Punk. That's what a strap match is supposed to be. I loved the strap match between The Fiend and Daniel Bryan at Royal Rumble 2020 because it truly was. It wasn't the corners. They weren't touching the corners. It was just who could get the pin. And the strap match was let's just mess each other up. Whoever wins, wins. We're going to bleed and we are going to fuck each other up. So I thought that this is what that was. They could have gotten rid of the corners and just gone for a pinfall or submission win, but it was still fun to watch. We then get the revenge match: Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest, the Terror Twins versus the Judgment Day. Women's World Champion Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. You would actually finally have Rhea Ripley get her hands on Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio, locking him in the triangle choke. Technically, a inverted triangle choke. You would have Liv Morgan actually get pinned for Rhea Ripley to pick up the win in what she is now calling the pretzel pin. I don't know what that is. Should be the Netflix and chill pin, but that's what it's the joke I'm hearing. It's always a joke I heard. But it was a fun match, and I actually really did enjoy Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest getting the better of the heels. It's not what I expected, but I thought it was a good one. We then finally get your main event of hometown boy Gunther defending his it's not right. Gunther defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Randy Orton, the former World Heavyweight Champion, the youngest World Heavyweight Champion of all time. This would be a hard fought match, and you could tell the ref was using his discretion of going, yeah, I'll give you guys some room on the outside. You guys go ahead, have your fight, but just know I'm still here and I'm going to call. I am going to do a count out if I need to. But thankfully, it didn't come to that. They would finish this in the ring. Randy Orton would go for a RKO, but would fall victim to the sleeper hold and would pass out. After the match, he would get up and would shake Gunther's hands. Would shake Gunther's hand to show they called it a passing of the torch. I hear some people getting angry about that. Randy Orton is a legend, and for him to truly say, "Yeah, this is the guy that I'm truly going for," yeah, that's a passing of the torch moment. Awesome crowd in Berlin, by the way. These international crowds have been amazing. Really makes me excited if they do host a pay per view in Italy or if we do get a WrestleMania in London. Let's move on to Raw. As Raw kicked off with Rhea Ripley in the ring, she would be attacked by Liv Morgan, and Liv would attack Rhea's leg, tying her up in the top rope, really messing up her leg. She had to be escorted by medical to the back. We then get American Made versus Alpha Academy. Hopefully, the end of this feud, it really has kind of been lackluster. I will give credit where credit's due. It really actually did show Maxine Dupri's wrestling abilities. American Made would pick up the win. After the match, Chad Gable challenged a Wyatt Six to an 8-person street fight. For next week's Raw, Uncle Howdy accepted on the ramp, and it actually makes me look forward to. I really hope we get to see more of Nikki Cross's wrestling style now that she's going with this twisted sister Abigail. We think it's Shayna Baszler and Zelina Vega. Shayna Baszler would put Zelina Vega away in this match. After the match, Pure Fusion Collective would attack Zelina. Lyra Valkyria came out to make the save, but she was also taken out. CM Punk would then celebrate his win over Drew McIntyre, only for Drew McIntyre to attack CM Punk to show that they're not done. This will go into a Hell in a Cell probably at Bad Blood, since I hear that it's going to be the marquee match at Bad Blood. A Hell in a Cell match. I can't imagine any more blood feud than this. We then get Ilja Dragunov defeating Dragon Lee and Dominic Mysterio in a nice little triple threat match. Really showed a class, really showed high flyers in action. This kind of reminded me of the old school 205 Live matches. Ilja Dragunov would pick up the win and would go on to the number one contenders Fatal 4-Way next week on Raw. We then get the Unholy Union, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn versus Damage Control. In a nice tag team match, you would actually have the Unholy Union pick up the win over Damage Control to become the number one contenders. We then have the World Heavyweight Champion Gunther celebrating his victory at Bash in Berlin. Sami Zayn then interrupted, saying Legends have won the Intercontinental Championship before going on to be World Heavyweight Champion, and Sami will do the same. He challenged Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther then said no, which led Sami to simply say, "You're afraid of me. I am the only one who can truly beat you in WWE. I did at WrestleMania, and I can do it again." Gunther then agreed to let Sami have his match before warning Sami that he is gunning for him. We then get your last triple threat match in this Intercontinental Champions number one contenders tournament, won by Braun Strowman against Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser. Braun Strowman would be a replacement for making sure I'm reading this right. Was a Big Braun Strowman. I'm sorry. I kept thinking Braun Breaker, but Braun Breaker's the IC champion. He would replace Big Bronson Reed, as Big Bronson Reed has tested positive for COVID-19. Hopefully a speedy recovery for him. I know it attacks big guys pretty badly. Trust me, I know. But hopefully he's all right, and we will see Big Bronson Reed pretty soon on Raw. But Braun Strowman would pick up the win and is going on to a fatal four-way, which will be Ilja Dragunov, Jey Uso, Braun Strowman, and I forget who the other one is. It'll come to me later on. We then get your main event of Damian Priest and Jey Uso versus the Judgment Day. Damian Priest and Jey Uso would pick up the win in an okay main event. You knew how it was going to go. Liv Morgan tried to interfere, but Rhea Ripley would get involved and would attack Liv Morgan. Rhea Ripley would hit her with the crutch, and then you would have a brawl to end it all with Damian Priest and Jey Uso standing tall at the end. That was Raw this week. Again, a great week from Berlin, a great week for your shows in WWE. If you're looking for a fun weekend of wrestling to watch, it definitely was. I also didn't even go into No Mercy, which had its great moments, but at the end, No Mercy still wasn't as good as Bash in Berlin, in my opinion. Again, it was a fun night, but Bash in Berlin definitely stole the weekend of the best shows. And now, let's go into my Bad Blood review. This is In Your House Bad Blood, not technically a Bad Blood pay per view. It would become a pay per view 5 years later in 2003. This would be in 1997, an attendance of 21,000 and a buy rate of 240,000. St. Louis, Missouri. Shout out to Randy Orton. You would have the Nation of Domination versus the Legion of Doom, D'Lo Brown, Kama Mustafa, aka the Godfather, and Rocky Maivia, aka The Rock, versus the Legion of Doom, Animal and Hawk. It was an okay match. It would really just be Hawk fighting in the ring while Animal trying to make the tag on the outside. Farouk would kind of intervene and would cost the Road Warriors the match. We then get Max Mini and Nova, aka Mascarita Sangrada, versus Mosaic and Tarantula in a tag team match. It was a small person's tag team match, and it would end in pinfall with Max Mini and Nova picking up the win. Nothing really write home about there. We then get the Godwins, Henry O. Godwin and Phineas L. Godwin, with Uncle Cleus at ringside, versus the Headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher, for the Tag Team Championship, the WWF Tag Team Champions. The Godwins would pick up the win in a. I'm not even going to try and sugarcoat this. This was not a good tag team match. It was a 12-minute hog fest. It was meh. The Godwins would pick up the win and would become your new WWF Tag Team Champions. Remember when they were Tag Team Champions? Yeah, no one does. We then get a singles match for the vacant WWF Intercontinental Championship starting at SummerSlam that year, where it was vacated by Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin was the Intercontinental Champion at the time and would actually be injured by Bret Hart. This is where Stone Cold Steve Austin would suffer a traumatic neck injury and would have to take some real time off. So Owen Hart would defeat Farouk here, as it would start off with a tournament, funny enough, of Brian Pillman defeating Dude Love by DQ, Owen Hart then defeating Goldust by DQ, Farouk defeating Shamrock. Ken Shamrock technically won the match but suffered an injury, so Farouk went on. And Ahmed Johnson defeating Rocky Maivia by pin. Farouk would win by DQ against Ahmed Johnson. And you would have Owen Hart win by DQ. I want to point out that this was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 match tournament. 4 of the matches ended in DQ. 1 ended in a very weird injury. So I'm counting that as a faulty finish. 2 ended up by pin. Owen Hart would pick up the win in actually nice little match and become your IC champion. We then get the Disciples of Apocalypse versus Los Boricuas. I can never say that right. The Disciples of Apocalypse would actually start off when you would have Crush and Savio Vega being basically fired from the Nation of Domination, and then Crush kind of turning on Savio Vega, leading to making the Disciples of the Apocalypse. And the Disciples of the Apocalypse would pick up the win in an 8-man tag team match. The less said about this, the better. We then get your semi-main event in a flag match of Bret Hart and the British Bulldog versus the Patriot Invader in a 23 minute match that I really didn't expect to enjoy, but I did. I wasn't I didn't remember a flag match when I went to go look back at this pay-per-view, but now that I watch it, it is actually a match that I'm excited to watch. I thought it was fun. I actually liked the pairing of Vader and the Patriot. I know it sounds weird, but you Bret Hart and the British Bulldog always had the chemistry to make any match work. So awesome to see them together. Bret Hart and the British Bulldog would pick up the win here in a 23-minute match. And then we get to your main event, the first ever Hell in a Cell. Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker to determine the number one contender for the WWF Championship at Survivor Series. It would be a hard fought match, and you would actually have The Undertaker about to win this match, about to pin Shawn Michaels when the lights go out and Paul Bearer comes out, the guy who has been talking shit to The Undertaker this whole time, saying someone's coming for him, this monster is coming for him, his dead brother, who The Undertaker thought was dead for years, Kane, is coming for him. And then this guy in red and a red mask comes out, and you hear Vince McMahon, not JR, as JR has received credit for it over the years, but it was actually never him. Vince McMahon would say, "That's gotta be Kane! That's gotta be Kane!" And sure enough, it was. Kane would make his debut and would attack The Undertaker, hitting him with a tombstone, and would allow Shawn Michaels to pick up the win. 1, 2, 3. Shawn Michaels is your number one contender and wins the first ever Hell in a Cell match. It's a fun pay per view to go look back on. It's definitely not amazing, but definitely fun. So, I could use a drink. How about a bloody guts shot? Sticking with the blood for bad blood coming up in October. We have 2 parts peach schnapps, 1 part vodka, black vodka, a straw, and a shot glass. You're going to pour strawberry jello into the base of a shot glass, and you're going to pour your peach schnapps over it, and then you're going to add your black vodka. Please make sure, one, that you actually do cook the jello. These are little jello shooters that kind of mix up the peach schnapps and the black vodka. Please drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive. Do not drink if you are in 21 in the United States, and do not overconsume on alcohol. And now, everybody, it is time for the Battle Droid of the Week. The Battle Droid of the Week this week is Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff is the Battle Droid of the Week because of all the shit he keeps talking about AEW. He has become the thing he hated the most, which is a whiny crybaby. So shout out to him, and shout out to all the bullshit he's talking about AEW. He can add this to his trophy case.
Uh-oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. I have been the big guy. This has been Wrestling Made Simple. Next week, we will go into a review of Bad Blood 2003. Have a great week in wrestling.